Welcome to Furniture Industry News for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. I'm bringing you the key updates that matter most to furniture industry professionals today. Let's dive into what's happening in our industry and the broader retail landscape. First up, let's talk about tariffs and what they mean for your business. President Trump has extended the pause on higher tariffs with China for another 90 days. The current U.S. rate stays at 30%, while China keeps theirs at 10%. This extension comes at a crucial time because new inflation data shows furniture prices jumped 0.9% just from June to July, one of the biggest monthly increases we've seen across all tracked categories. Here's what this means for you. The tariffs were supposed to snap back to much higher rates this month. We're talking 145% U.S. duties and 125% from China. Instead, we have breathing room until mid-November. But don't get too comfortable. The president made it clear he's ready to raise those rates again if trade talks don't go well. For furniture businesses, this creates ongoing uncertainty in supply chains and pricing strategies. You're having to adapt to sudden changes, and that's not easy when you're trying to plan ahead. The inflation picture adds another layer of complexity. Overall inflation held steady at 2.7% in July, but core inflation, which strips out food and energy, actually climbed to 3.1%. That's the highest we've seen since February. Our industry felt this directly with that nearly 1% jump in furniture prices in just 1 month. Now, while we're dealing with China tariff uncertainty, Trump just announced new tariffs on India that directly impact our industry. Starting August 27th, there's an additional 25% tariff on all Indian imports, bringing India's total tariff rate to 50%. The administration says this is because India continues buying Russian oil and military equipment, which they consider a national security threat. This puts India at the same tariff level as Brazil, making them two of the most heavily taxed countries for imports. If you're sourcing furniture or components from India, you need to factor this into your costs immediately. The good news is that goods already in transit before August 27th won't face the new rate, but anything shipped after that date will. The timing couldn't be more challenging given what consumers are telling us about spending. A new survey shows 27% of consumers say back-to-school prices are noticeably higher than previous years. Gen Z shoppers are feeling this most, with 39% reporting significantly higher prices. This sentiment is carrying over to holiday planning, where 30% of shoppers say they'll focus more on discounts during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, while another 30% plan to spend less overall. What's particularly concerning for furniture retailers is that 23% of consumers say they'll prioritize essentials only for holiday shopping. Another 17% plan to delay or avoid big-ticket purchases entirely, and furniture often falls into that category. Half of consumers believe they personally bear the largest share of tariff costs, and 58% cite higher prices as their biggest concern. This consumer sentiment connects directly to what's happening in retail real estate markets. A new study from Colliers shows national retail vacancy rates rose 4.3% in the second quarter. But here's the interesting part. It's still below the 10-year average. The reason? Store closings, including furniture retailers shutting their doors. You might expect rising vacancies to push retail rents down, but that's not happening. National asking rent only dropped slightly to $25.46 per square foot. The limited new construction and high demand for existing space means vacant retail space gets absorbed quickly. For furniture retailers looking for new locations or renegotiating leases, don't expect dramatic rent decreases despite higher vacancy rates. The retail job market reflects these broader challenges. According to Indeed, retail job postings are down 9% year over year. This suggests retailers are being cautious about expansion and hiring, which makes sense given the economic uncertainties we're facing. When businesses are unsure about tariff costs, consumer spending, and real estate costs, they naturally pull back on hiring. But there's one bright spot worth noting: the changing relationship between businesses and younger consumers. A new survey shows Gen Z shoppers value trust above almost everything else. 90% of Gen Z consumers will pay 10% more for products from businesses they trust. They're more loyal, spend more, and recommend trustworthy businesses at higher rates than older generations. For furniture retailers, this creates an opportunity. Gen Z shoppers want transparency and reliability. They prefer clear communication about pricing and availability over error pages or website crashes. 73% are more likely to trust businesses that block bots during sales, and 65% trust companies that ensure fair access during limited inventory events. This matters because 70% of Gen Z shoppers are likely to spend more at retailers they trust, compared to 60% of older generations. They're also more likely to join loyalty programs and recommend trusted brands. In an industry dealing with supply chain challenges and pricing pressures, building trust through reliable experiences could be your competitive advantage. The key is being upfront about challenges while delivering consistent service. When supply chains are unpredictable and costs are rising, clear communication becomes even more valuable. Tell customers about potential delays honestly. Explain price increases when they happen. Make sure your website works properly during sales events. These basic reliability factors build the trust that drives Gen Z spending. Looking at the bigger picture, the furniture industry is navigating multiple challenges simultaneously. Tariff uncertainty affects your costs and pricing. Consumer spending caution limits your market. Real estate costs remain high despite some vacancy increases. Job markets are tightening as businesses become more selective about hiring. But within these challenges, there are opportunities. The extended China tariff pause gives you time to adjust supply chains if needed. The new India tariffs might push some sourcing toward other countries or domestic suppliers. Gen Z's emphasis on trust rewards businesses that focus on reliable customer experiences. Vacant retail space, while concerning for the overall market, might create opportunities for businesses ready to expand. The next few months will be critical. Watch what happens with China trade talks as we approach that November deadline. Monitor how the India tariff situation develops and whether other countries face similar measures. Keep an eye on consumer spending patterns as we head into the holiday season. And pay attention to how the retail real estate market adjusts to changing demand patterns. For now, focus on what you can control. Build trust through reliable customer experiences. Communicate clearly about any challenges affecting your business. Stay flexible with supply chains and pricing strategies. And remember that while the current environment is challenging, it's also creating opportunities for businesses that adapt effectively. Thanks for listening to Furniture Industry News. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe to stay up to date on the latest developments affecting our industry. We'll be back soon with more news you need to know.